Hi, friend. It's Sherold Barr, a coach, survivor, and thriver of 3 unimaginable traumas. And I'm a poster girl for post traumatic growth. 6 years ago, when I was involved in a near fatal accident, internist gave me sage advice at my first appointment with her after the car wreck. She said, "Don't compare yourself to who you were before the accident." So, in other words, don't try to think you're going to get back to who you were before that time. When this thing happened, that changed everything. It was brilliant because she was like, start there. And it's true, I couldn't walk. She recognized that my determination and my take charge attitude would cause me more stress in the healing process if I didn't start at the right start line. What she wanted to do was reset that for me. It helped me understand that I was in a new race for the run of my life, I guess you could say. I was able to take her advice and use it as I healed. And after 5 major abdominal surgeries in 4 months, I still needed a urological surgery. One of the surgical complications of that surgery, because it's a long surgery, is nerve damage, and it can be due to how the patient's positioned on the table. I was the one just before surgery to ask for a pillow to put under my knees because I knew that I had past lumbar problems and that my back needed support. But I woke up after that 5.5-hour surgery to a completely numb leg. My surgeon confirmed that I was in that same position that I put myself in during the surgery. And what had happened is it had compressed or stretched, and they were afraid it had just torn the femoral, which is your quad muscle. And if you don't have quad muscle, the femoral nerve, you fall down. You have nothing to hold your knee up. I had problems. I had to learn to walk. My worst fear was that I would never walk again, or I'd never be able to hike, which I love to do. And this event, this happening damage that I had to that nerve really took me down to the dark night of the soul. And we all have them. You know, you might be sitting out there thinking, oh, I've had this happen, but not as bad as hers. Let's erase that. There is no comparison, because what happens to you might be as traumatic as it what mine was to me. You can't compare. So take that out of the equation. I was worried, seriously, and I had gone through 4 months of incredible suffering and surgeries and, recoveries and all kinds of things. And I was up to the task every time. And then this just took me down. All I could do was cry. I really let myself grieve. What if I can't hike again? What if I have to use a walker or a wheelchair? I realized my choices. We all have a choice. We have free will. Anything that comes at us, we can choose how to deal with that. We get choices. So never forget you have a choice. I think sometimes we don't think we have a choice. And what you want to do is don't do it like your parents did unless they're conscious and awake. The idea is that you become conscious of your choice. And that means, what attitude are you going to have when you have these things happen to you? I know enough, I've done enough self-awareness, and that's really the key. If you want to be resilient, you need to learn a little bit more about yourself. You need to have this inner life. This is I am a toolkit. I'm a walking toolkit. I know what to do to help myself now, because I've gone through 3 biggies and I've survived and grown. My choices were to stay stuck and rehash it. My choices were to freak out and just get so mad at this surgeon. No, I simply called the anesthesiologist who had given me a spinal block and said, would that have done anything? No. Called my surgeon. Yep, same position. So I knew it was not her fault. After a few days of crying, and I had to go back and see her, and when I went back and saw her, I wanted her to know how I felt about it. And my response to her was probably unlike your average response, but this is where I was in the process. And I said, "Doctor, I know this complication, this femoral nerve damage I have in my leg, is due to the length of surgery, that it took a long time, and I was in that position. And I've researched this, and I know, because I've had other back surgeries, that this is not your fault. I said to her, I just want you to know that, because this was not my first rodeo with a poor outcome, but this was really not her fault. A few weeks later, I began to notice tiny improvements in my leg, and from there, I did what my doctor said. I mean, I was at 0, so when my leg moved just a fraction, that was it. She told me, do not check your leg until every Friday. So every Friday, I would see, has my leg changed? Can I lift it? I could not lift my left leg at all. So each week, I began to get some incremental shifts, because I did everything they told me to do, because I wanted to get my leg back. That's the other thing. There's things you can do, and I want to just run down a few. These are my wisdom truths. These are from my experience. Okay, here's wisdom truths from my experience. You need to be conscious and make a decision. Maybe when something happens, you've got to grieve it. I'm not saying bypass any of your normal emotions. Okay, let's put that out there. That's spiritual bypassing. What I'm suggesting is that you feel these emotions, you grieve, yet you stay conscious to the fact that you get to choose. Do you want, what's your motivation in staying stuck? What's your motivation in being angry at somebody? What is your motivation for anything? Okay, wisdom truth number 1. First thing I'm going to say to you is you must decide. You put both feet in. Are you gonna take the high road? Grieve, do whatever. What can you do? You can always do something, and it's always your mind. One of the things I did was not to become angry and frustrated at things, because I knew better. I might be called stoic. Yes, that's true. Yet, this is a mindset. I already know what would happen if I argued with the whiteboard that was in front of my bed. I'm gonna lose 100% of the time, because I'm going to take myself more and more into a negative place when I want to be in a happier, or, well, just not repeating a negative story. It's your subconscious to hear. If it's a woe is me story, maybe that's how you were brought up. That's how I was brought up, victim mentality. And I didn't know otherwise until I knew otherwise, which was in coach training. Oh, and lots of continuous counseling still, continuing in all of that. These are skills I personally use to get through 3 major traumas and survive. And the other thing is, I believe resilience is a muscle you build over time. You build your resilience muscle each time you go through hardship or a tough thing. Today, when you take away from this video, I want you to go back to one of your tough times when you were struggling. And what did you do to help yourself through it? What were some of the self-care tools? It's always self-care. What did you tell yourself? I want you to be your own encourager. After I got home from the hospital after 6 weeks, I would put lotion on, and after that surgery, I would put lotion on that leg, and I would say, my legs are getting stronger and stronger every day in every way. And I would say a future, they are. Be your own encourager. Make sure you're telling the story you want to tell. And if you're going to tell a negative one, what do you need attention? What's your motivator for that? Just be clear, be honest. And track what you did the first time. Each time you go through this, if you tell yourself and watch your mind, you're really becoming mentally a warrior. And that's what I want you to do, is to really take the high road. And that's what I'm teaching here. I want you to look for the good in that horrible time that came to your mind. It's always there. We just never look for it. And I look for it. I've taught my husband. He sees it. He knows it. And he's a doctor. He's never been trained this way. He knows now. It's just your mind. It's how you want to view it. Key is that you become aware and conscious, okay, of what you're doing, what you're thinking, because I want you to manage the steering wheel of your life, which is here, and not let it drive the car. You're in charge. So that's what I'm going to help you with. There's a lot to it, but these are some of my keys. I'd love to hear from you, and if you like this video, please let me know. There'll be more, and share it with your friends. Join my YouTube channel, and please subscribe at SheroldBarr.com. Thanks.